In nomine Dinastri Satanae Luciferi Excelsi, Egio Satanas. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And tonight, I'm going to bring to you some personal experiences. Most of you have probably heard about a book called The Art of War. Some of you have even heard the term the art of cognitive warfare. How does this apply to magic? How does this apply to magic? Well, let's look at this for a moment. Have you ever had a desire? Let's say, for an example, you wanted something to happen. You had the tools, you had the training, the experience, and you performed the rites and rituals accordingly. But you lead your enemies to believe that you are weak, that you are feeble, insane, maybe a little unhinged. So what happens? They fall right into your trap. You see, Christians have been doing this for centuries, playing the hero to the devil, when in fact they themselves are the devils, the antichrists, the evil ones. I mean, look at how many they've slaughtered. I mean, they've slaughtered their way through Europe, the Middle East, and they're still doing this in the Middle East. Now, instead of the Knights of Templar, the Crusades, the Dark Ages, the witch trials, the burning times, no. Now it's terrorist cells. Now it's holy wars still, but it's more the fact that they go after you through legal means. So, knowing this, how do you get around this? How do you get around through subterfuge? Well, for one, it helps to know their game. Anyone who's read their books can tell you exactly the way they think, their mentality. They think they're untouchable because of their God. Well, let's look at this for a moment. When's the last time their God interfered in man's agendas? It wasn't God fighting on those battlefronts. It was men, knights. It was soldiers, farmers with pitchforks. Just like any other war. The difference is today they live in, well, fat wallets. All about money. They even get tax exempt for their churches. So they pay a tenth of what anyone else would pay. And they call it all due to religion. But yet, anyone different comes into their turf. All hell breaks loose, right? Christians control most of the government. They control most of the corporations and businesses out there. So someone that's considered to be a witch, a necromancer, or even a Satanist has to work 10 times harder to move up that proverbial food chain. Now, you remember what I said earlier about the art of warfare, the art of cognitive warfare, the art of war. How do you do that? When you've spent years mastering your skills to play the fool, you strike without warning, and your opponent will never see it coming. especially when you maneuver yourself in the right directions and in the right areas. You're on good terms with the upper management, but yet one of those upper management stands in your way, claims it won't work. So let's just take this for an example. My boss is a Christian. The DM, district manager, is a Christian. The owner is a Christian. The assistant manager is a Christian. You have two Christians in the morning crew as team leads. You have one who doesn't really believe in a God, no, but yet not entirely an atheist either for an afternoon manager. And yet, you had a pagan and a Wiccan who was a team lead that stepped down, only for another Christian to step up. But yet, even the Bible would go against that one, namely because of what her interest lies. But even she quit and just walked out. So then they promote somebody else from a different store over you. How do you play that game? Hmm? How do you play it? How do you go up against factors like that? Well, first of all, to keep them off balance, one of the things you can do is bring in the government, file reports to keep them occupied while you're working behind the scenes. You see, your name has to be kept secret because they cannot reveal the whistleblower, the corporate whistleblower. They can't do that. They can just say somebody filed a report on this, this, and this. But at the same time, like I said, you act the fool. You're the magician, the Hierophant. And yet they're bringing in all these younger and younger generations into the corporation. And you're the teacher, you're the cashier or the little flatfoot on the ground, the boot on the ground. They never see it coming because they think you're loyal. They think you don't have the stones to step up. My boss, and I've talked about this before, had a heart attack and a triple bypass a couple years ago. Right then, I looked at the owner and I looked at the district manager and the ASM who stepped up to be the acting store manager. Remember, these people are all Christians. I'm a Satanist and necromancer. And let them know I'm willing to step up, meaning I'm willing to be the boss. I'm willing to step up and prove myself. But wait for it. We'll keep you in mind. That's all they always say. Every company, they choose people like them, like-minded individuals. So how do you play that game? You know that you've cursed that location, literally cursed it, and you've even spoken the words to a team lead. The store remains cursed until they promote you. Until they promote you. They've lost so many employees that they're frustrated. They're tired because they're used to working in numbers. Whereas somebody like myself or you work as an individual. You are the spy. You are that lone wolf in the shadows, hiding in plain sight. And yet, they ended up promoting another. So I ended up putting my 2 weeks in this past Monday, just for shits and giggles to see what would happen. 2 days later, I go into work. The owner and the district managers there specifically came to see me. Me, no one else, just me. Oh, we didn't know you wanted to be promoted. Their exact words. Kissing my ass, telling me I'm a good employee. Kissing my ass, saying they don't want to lose somebody like me, a loyal, hardworking individual who's been there a long time. Well, if they really respected me that much, don't you think it would be wise to feed your soldiers, to treat them well? Think about that for just a minute. Interesting, isn't it? They've known for over 2 years, for 2 years, that I wanted to be a team lead, and they kept passing me over. So I played my cards carefully, planning, cursing the property, even the other team lead, even the team lead that works the later half of the week is surprised every time I go in there. There's bugs, moths that follow. Birds have slammed themselves into the windows. Lights have flickered. Apparitions have appeared in the stores though it was haunted. And yet they still have not put two and two together. No, that's the minds of ignorance. Those who think that they're untouchable. No, they're not untouchable. Those like me, those like you, have power that they only dreamed of. You see, Christians are ignorant, cowardly. They're afraid to lose that power. They're afraid to work for it. But me, I could give two shits about power. I'm in it for the fun. I'm in it for the war. I'm a soldier. I'm a fighter. That's who I am. I'm an Aries. But I'm in it for the sorcery too. I love the sorcery. Mm. But here's the thing. So on Wednesday, they dragged me into the office before I get to clock in. Number one, I was already 3 minutes late because the lobby's closed down to the lack of employees, so I had to wait for somebody to open the back door for me. They drag me in and they start kissing my ass and doing this. They've treated me as a joke. They've treated me as a fraud and a lesser behind my back for the 4 years I've been there. Watched everybody else leave. I stayed true. So now they're kissing my ass, wanting to put me in the training program for management. Interesting how that goes, isn't it? You see that game. It's the same propaganda that they give you in church. He's the only way, and you can't do it on your own, putting you in that trap, that ensnarement. But what happens when you go up against somebody who's ready for them, who studied their movements? I even told them point blank, I'm the one that's been counting my own drawer for the last 2 days. They're like, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. You see that false sincerity. They're still playing that game, but they're not playing for keeps. Not like me. You see, every move I make, I've already planned out. Every move they're making, I've already foresaw. They will not see me coming. It is interesting to see and watch them do what they do. False promises, false encouragement, false sincerities. This is what Christians do best. They keep people like you down while promising a better tomorrow. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're too afraid to lose that power. So they'll give you that false sincerity, those false promises to see if you'll stay and put up with more. They have 2 weeks. I've already got other jobs lined up. But the question is, what are they going to do in those 2 weeks? You see, I've already gone over it in my head. I've seen every possible outcome. From they'll either follow through or they won't. They'll stop by just to see how things are going. Yeah, I've seen it all right here. The art of cognitive warfare. Even Sun Tzu said, a general, a wise general, thinks before he strikes, learns about his enemies, learns the strengths and the weaknesses of his opponents before going into battle. And an experienced soldier will just run in and die valiantly, heroically even, and needlessly. He who thinks wins already. You want to build a business, you want to build a corporation. Well, even Sun Tzu said, take care of your enemy's soldiers, and they will become your soldiers. Think about that for just a moment. Think about that. You have different perceptions mixed into one propaganda, stolen factions of doctrines from various different texts. They wanted Armageddon. Make sure that's exactly what you want, because the wolves are hungry and sheep won't last long.